can go and become this. And that's kind of what I hear, like more indoctrination. Oh, yay, right? But no, please continue.
Let's take it to the next level. This is social engineering. This is changing something good into something bad. They want good to be bad and bad to be good, boys to be girls and girls to be boys. And before you know it, we've lost everything that we've worked so hard for. And that's what the
Right?
real goal is, the way I see it. But, some people think that I might be a little bit, to the right of Attila the Hun. So I've been called that. That's okay.
You guys, at least my audience, we all agree on the same thing. And, they don't have to like it. They don't have to um, think the way, obviously, they don't have to think the way we think. Sorry, right here. But I agree with this, the nuclear family.
Amen.
Right. And this is what I was talking about on, I think it was, on other shows as well, too. In fact, I was just on another show with Amber May and talking about how important it is to have this come back, to see this. I mean, this is one of the things I love seeing about this administration, because they're bringing their kids everywhere, not everywhere they go, but you could see that love of the family. And hello and congratulations to all you amazing fathers and mothers that are showing how wonderful it is to be that kind of family. It's so important because what they want to do, like you said, the state wants to own our children. They want to indoctrinate and confuse them. They want them to change their genders and now make sure that you have all of these certain influences to make sure that you are going to wreck this even more.
There you go. So I just find that when I saw that, I knew that a lot of people wouldn't see that because a lot of people don't watch his wife's podcast.
Yes.
I just have to run across that. And I just had to let you know. So
Right.
what happened? Go
I
ahead.
don't watch that podcast either, but I don't think that we can get away from it because they share clips all the time, but it's
Push it
moments
hard.
like this. They're like, I'm sorry. They're saying what?
Yeah.
Okay.
So as
Okay.
far as the empathy thing, what about pastors? I mean, boys, what about fathers and uncles and baseball coaches and football coaches and, just men in the community? You go to the barber shop and that's how you learn how to be a man. I'm not going to learn how to be a man from somebody who is not what I'd call a man. So if
Right.
somebody wants to be gay, do whatever you want to do with your own, but leave the kids alone.
Right. I say that so many times too. We live in a free country, and this is the same thing about free speech, everyone. It protects all speech, but we all have rights to make our choices when we're adults. Hopefully, you have done the critical thinking and the research to do what you want to do, but you have that right. And we have to defend that right, whether we like it or not, because it also affects our rights too. But that's what America brings,
There
But when you start messing with the children to the point where, like I said, and you're indoctrinating them and whatever from the word go, 5 and starting or even younger, we've got a serious problem. Instead of letting them have their own rights to be able to become what they want to be. But you're right. Where are the grandfathers, the uncles, the good pastors, coaches, things like that that can be really good influences on their lives. Apparently, he did not have any of those. So,
Yeah, when little kids are growing up, I know how I was. I can still remember back 150 years ago. I wasn't thinking about anything sexual. I wasn't thinking about it. I didn't know what a homosexual was and never knew and didn't want to know. I was playing baseball with my buddies, and whatever sport was in season, that's what we were doing. Or I was hanging out with my dad doing manly, farm chores and that sort of thing. And sexuality just wasn't part of the equation.
right? Absolutely. And again, everyone, I cannot stress enough how important it is to be that nuclear family, to be those great role models, raise a family. Do not be afraid. We talked about the role of a mother too, and how, it's so important to realize I got, blessed later on in life too with my 3 beautiful adopted children, right? But I grew up with that same kind of mentality where it's like, oh, it was terrible to be a mom. You're supposed to be a great career woman, which I was, and I still am, but it's also a true blessing to be a mother. And I found out later in life, and God found a way to give me children. And I soon found out what a wonderful thing it is. You guys, it's so wonderful to have children. I can't encourage you enough to do that.
There you go.
That's
It's
right.
funny. I mean, this probably isn't something you wanted to talk about, but the birth rate in the Western world has, in most countries, reached to the point where don't have replacement level. I think in the United States, I think each woman is expected, in order to maintain our demographics, 2.5 kids or something to that effect. and we're like at 2.1. So we're not able to replace the next generation. And when you're talking about, people having, let's say, same-sex relationships, they don't produce kids. So that puts us in a real quandary you're talking about. So there you go. So
That's right.
each person has their rights, got it, but don't infringe on my right. If I want to raise my kid with a traditional manner, let me do so.
Yes, I agree. I agree. I'm not, I'm not going to be there to indoctrinate your children, and therefore you should not be there to indoctrinate mine. And you know
There,
what's the worst thing about it is school should be a place where you're learning foundations, not indoctrination, one way or the other, right? You're there to learn how to read. You're there to learn how to critically think. You're there to learn how to do mathematics and so forth and so on, right? Instead of all these crazy agendas that they have, which maybe we'll skip to that because, oh, speaking of agendas, right? Oh my gosh. I know we're kind of going a little bit out of order here, but since we're talking about this, I've got to go show you this one. It is unbelievable because they still want to continue this mess. So here we go, guys. Look at this one. Let's take a look at this. Man, I love Corey DeAngelis, but here we go. Randy Weingarten's at it again. She just announced, guess what, a partnership with...
We are about to announce a partnership with the World Economic Forum to create a curriculum that will lead to good jobs and solid careers. We are about to announce a partnership with the World Economic Forum to...
What? I mean, last time I shared information about her, she was talking about how she wanted to have this University of AI, right? I don't even know what is up with this woman, right? But here we go. Can somebody please just remove her?
Anything the World Economic Forum is involved with means the eventual deterioration of humanity. These people are terrible. They're greedy. They want to create a feudal society. And, anybody can look on the internet and see what they're all about. Rich people who want to tell us how to live their lives while they ride around in private jet, polluting the atmosphere. So yeah, it's crazy. And they should be stopped because they are responsible for most of the problems in this world. They're the ones who keep the endless wars going. And I'm running off of the mouth because once you mention that, I get angry. These people are terrible.
Oh my gosh, it is unbelievable. I just don't even understand how, I mean, with this administration, we need, and he's always, and that's what I love about Corey DeAngelis. He's always like, we need to get rid of the teachers union. Yes, we do, because it's people like her that are absolutely making it unbelievable. I mean, she's just
had
crazy.
Their big convention, I think a couple of weeks ago, and they weren't talking about improving education. They were talking about forcing Trump to allow illegal aliens into the country and all kinds of Marxist doctrine, but they're not interested in raising kids and educating kids, which is their charter. And there's been some talk in the Trump administration that I've heard that they're talking about taking away the charter of the NEA. So I hope that happens.
I do too. And I know, like I said, again, about Corey DeAngelis, he is really advocating for that. And they should, because the whole entire, whatever they're talking about, agenda, I should say, was literally about how we are going to teach our kids to protest ICE and teach our kids to be able to protest in a good way, I guess, for Palestinian, right? And to do all these kind of things. And not once did they say, we need to bring up the reading skills. We need to bring up our education levels. Not a single word on that. Was all about how we're going to control the kids. There are kids, and that's how she always refers to them. There are kids. No, they're not. No, they're not.
They want to break up the sovereignty of individual people. They want to take your liberties away, and we need to pay attention, because if we just sit around and let these people get away with it, we will live in a feudal society within our lifetime. And I don't think I would make a good plebe or whatever they call it. It just would be terrible for me. So we just got to stop these people, and the enemy is very, very clear who they are.
Right. And a great way to do this, guys, because I'm sharing these out on X if you're following over there, but it's a great thing because I already quoted, I'm like, what? And making sure this stuff stays in the headlines, because they're going to try, and I got another one for you. They're going to try everything they can do to come under the radar, wait until, hopefully the next elections. I mean, and here's an example of exactly them doing that. So let's look at this one. So busted, Vanderbilt's you, Jane Roberts was caught on camera, right, hiding the school's DEI practices. Let's check this out.
And we have this one, gosh, I think she's a representative or something. It was her that she gave up for governor, and I'm going, oh God, I know, she's ridiculous. Blackburn. Yes, I know. I heard that, and I went, it's a very weird place right now. We are heavily supported by federal funding. Facility side of it, we will, you know, we're not advertising diversity and inclusion lectures. You know, we used to have a whole series. So, you know, things like that have changed. A lot of things have changed. And then meetings for students. And I mean, it's if it's student led, that's one thing, but it's not what it is. So that's just been on the last few months. I mean, we're flying under the radar. I mean, honestly.
Right.
This one,
they are flying under the radar. If it's student led, so what do you think they're going to do for the students? They're going to be, hey, students, you know, if you guys do this, whoops, sorry, let me add it. If you guys do this, right, then it's okay. But they're so worried because their federal funding is going to get cut. They're going to fly under the radar. They're going to change names and just hope that things change in the next election so that they can bring all this craziness back. But it's not stopping, and they're not the only ones.
Yeah, they've been using our own budgets and our own taxpayer dollars against us, moving things forward that we don't necessarily want. And, you know, thank God for the Trump administration. Now, mind you, he is not perfect. He's a very, very flawed man. However, those things are working. The things that he's doing is working in our favor, and he's doing more good than bad. So we got to take that into account. But these people, you know, they've got to have their budgets taken away. They've got to be put in their place, because they are going to soften our children, especially our boys, turn them into something that basically won't allow us to maintain our society. And that's got to stop. Got to stop.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So parents out there, be really careful, because I saw this happen with CRT too, right? That, like, when that became public news, all of a sudden it changed to CLC. You're right, critical learning instead of critical race theory. It was critical learning curriculum. I mean, they are really good about changing the name. So when they say, hey, do you have this? They can legally say, no, we don't have anything named CRT. And they're careful. They'll answer you that way. So when you say, hey, what are your DEI policies? They're like, well, we don't have DEI policies, you know, and that's what they do. They change the names. And look,
words matter. And these people, basically, they've got, you know, I don't know. I get so frustrated with these characters. You always know how to get my hot buttons going. Let me tell you.
Well, you mentioned something, and I usually have got a story for you. I'm like, oh, hey, I saw this in the news. Well, right?
They're literally trying to tear up our society. They want to destroy the family, as you said. And it's not just happening here in the United States. The same thing is happening in Europe. All of Western society is under attack, and most people don't pay attention. You know, I've got friends in different parts of the country that I talk to, and some of them just literally don't even want to watch the news. Don't want to, you know, my dad back in the old days, we used to all read the newspaper on Saturday morning, on the weekends when we were all together, when he wasn't working. And, you know, it was very common for him to sit there and see what's going on. People don't do that anymore. Now, yeah, there's no more, it's very seldom to see a paper newspaper, but you can get all the news you want right online. And we have to be forever vigilant, because these people are after us, and we got the best thing going. That's why everybody wants to come here. That's
right. That's right. And I thought I had something you just mentioned about something. Let me grab that too. Okay. No. Okay. It was something about world. There we go. All right, so this could be happening to our country, and it's really interesting when you read this, but it's happening in other places too. Luckily, it's not quite here yet, but it's alarming. So let's look at this one right here, because it's really interesting. This is over there in England, everyone. We are currently monitoring a number of X accounts as the posts are concerning and may demonstrate wrong thoughts that are contrary to the general public's allowed attitude in the United Kingdom. And then if you read the comments, that's what's even great. Could you publish a list of approved thoughts so that I don't stray into independent thinking and end up getting in the Connolly sentence. And it replies, your local authority will provide a list of suitable thought topics.
So they're going to control your thoughts.
You get arrested there. I've seen, and you brought up of having people in, friends in the United Kingdom. I mean, good heavens, I was born over there, but I'm like, they're getting arrested for posting things, right? A Minority Report, everybody, for posting things that maybe even a year or so ago, and they're getting arrested left and right. And now they literally come out with saying, hey, we're monitoring your X accounts for demonstrating wrong thoughts.
It's freaking terrible. And, we've all read 1984, and you can look at this like 1984, the book, George Orwell, is a blueprint for actually what's happening right now. You can't even have your own thoughts. You can't have any privacy. And what's worse, here in the United States, we've got Palantir. And most people aren't familiar, but you should look up Palantir. They are an organization that is tied up with the federal government. They've got federal contracts, and basically they're monitoring all of our internet traffic, and they want to do the same thing here. We have to stop this. And how do we stop this? Awareness. People need to be awake, aware, understand that your phone's always listening to you. Yeah, it's conspiracy. Fact. Yes. Palantir is out of control. And we just got to pay attention and make sure that our elected leaders know that we like having our own thoughts, and we're not going to give up our privacy or our personal sovereignty.
That's right. That's right. That's why I was talking last week, you guys, with Mother Pearl about the dangers of AI and making sure we contact our congressmen, right? Because they want to just unleash it for the next 10 years. And I swear to you, I don't think President Trump listens to my podcast. It'd be awesome. But just shortly after that, he came out going, we are definitely going to make sure there's some regulations on this stuff. We don't want anything woke going on here, and we want to make sure that there are great people contributing to this, as we move forward with AI. And I'm like, oh, thank heavens, because I'm obviously not the only one talking about this, but we don't want this to be our future. You already know that they're monitoring. I mean, how many times have you guys talked out loud about something that you want to buy, and next thing you know, you're getting all kinds of advertisements on your phone or whatever, right? You're like, they're already doing this. But I don't want to be in jail for the wrong thought. I hate to laugh at it, but it's, maybe I shouldn't, but there's either that or laugh or cry. But right, demonstrating wrong thoughts. I mean, when we see movies like The Minority Report, how many of us at first thought, oh, that's just science fiction? Welcome to the future. It's
science fact. And the bottom line is we can do better, but here's a problem that we have. So of the 435 members of Congress, most of these people have no understanding of cybersecurity or any of that sort of stuff. These people are lawyers, and they have their staffs or anything like that, but they didn't grow up in the business. They don't understand. They don't understand the dangers. And to tell you the truth, most of them are bought and paid for by AI. I mean, what do you call it? APAC or whatever. That's another story for another time. But the issue of the day is, as you go out and vote, ask these potential legislators at the state level and the federal level, hey, what are you going to do about AI? What's your policy? What do you believe in? What's your background? Because just because you're a lawyer doesn't mean that you're a lawyer that understands, cybersecurity. I happen to have 2 degrees in cybersecurity, so I'm very intent on such things, and I understand these things. I'm not saying I should be replacing anybody, but I am saying that AI is moving so fast, and these guys got to get smart. If they don't, we have to get smart and protect ourselves.
Right. And here's things that are also concerning me. So I want to see, and you guys, my congressman probably hates me. He definitely knows who I am. I'm always sending emails, always asked to go and meet with him, definitely yearly, if not, bi-yearly or whatever. But this is another thing that popped in the news, because speaking about controlling your thoughts, this one here too, and they're bragging about this, and I know she put in something in here too, Little Humans Big Impact. Neuralink recipient writes her name for the first time in 20 years telepathically, and Elon Musk says she's controlling her computer just by thinking. Most people don't realize how much this is possible. Oh my gosh. Right? I mean, just welcome into the situation. I mean, isn't that going to be something? I want to know, is that going to be something that you guys are reading our thoughts? You're going to, everybody wants to get a Neuralink. I swear that's part of the future.
Well, here's the way I see it, and having been around this stuff, Neuralink, I'm no expert, but I understand gateways and how this thing works. And if you can control the computer can probably control you too. They're reading your thoughts. Everything you do digitally is recorded somewhere. And so, yeah, there are going to be people with brain injuries and, physical injuries. This will be very helpful for them, but it shouldn't
Right.
go out into the general population for somebody to play video games, because you're going to put yourself in a situation where you have no private thoughts at all. And once that happens, we are merged with the computers. We are merged with we're transhuman. And Yuval Harari, I think he was the deputy at the World Economic Forum. This
They
guy's
tell her.
yeah, these guys are all about transhumanism and taking away, your connection to the creator. And I got a real problem with that. So,
That's right.
like I said, we gotta watch against those sorts of things.
Exactly, because you have these amazing things. You're right, that do help with with medical situations, and it's awesome to see this kind of technology. But it just takes somebody like your Klaus Schwabs or Yuval Hararis to sit there and find that tech, manipulate it, and turn it into the devil's department. And that's what we always have to do. This is why it's so important to ask these questions, to make these kind of comments, and going, I'm sorry, what? And how's this going to be controlled? And how is it not going to get into the hands of the evil people? And what's this for the future? Because yeah, I don't want to have the mark of the beast, or be a transhuman, or be all these kind of things, right? And so and then back to going on with the school, when the teachers union wants to align with these crazy people to make sure the curriculum moving forward is all World Economic Forum.
Yeah.
It is absolutely amazing and horrifying all the same breath.
As you grow older, you want to just kind of rest and think that everything's okay. But our generation is not going to be allowed to rest. You've got all this information in here. And if you're smart and you want to protect your family, you got to keep up with this stuff. And you got to be willing to fight against this stuff, because these people will take every bit of your freedom away if allowed. And personally, and I know Lady Hamilton agrees with me, we're going to fight them as long as we can.
That's right. There's no time. I thought, we're moving towards almost, I'm not quite that old yet, but you start preparing for your retirement and peace and whatever, right? Oh no, not lately, because we've got fighting to do. Even with this administration, and I didn't share this with you guys, but back to the abortion thing. We see all these Planned Parenthood things getting shut down, and then of course some whacked out judge says, "Oh wait, you can't defund Planned Parenthood. We got to make sure that it's available on Medicaid." You're like, oh my gosh. So they are fighting our wonderful administration every chance they get. I can't even imagine how many crazy judges he's fighting against at this time. But
and
this is
the Supreme Court did a ruling that said lower courts have no jurisdiction, but they can't offer nationwide rulings against the president's edicts. So these people are just stalling. They know that they're wrong. They know that they're on the wrong side of the Supreme Court, and they're still doing everything they can. And then in the meantime, the Trump administration has to go through the process of actually addressing each one of these crazy edicts. And these judges know they're wrong, but they do it anyway.
That's right. And it is just to try to slow him down. And I've shared a clip with you guys before with Obama talking to all these other leaders, going, just wait it out. Slow pace it. This is the same thing I think about with the Maha and these big companies too, that say, oh yeah, we'll get the chemicals out, but we're going to wait 2 or 3 years. It's going to take us that long. And in the meantime, we're going to try to stop RFK Jr. No different than trying to stop Trump. They want to make sure they slow poke it, hoping to wait it out or cause a whole bunch of issues and be tied up in courts for years, months to years. That's the plan. But like, I love what Frosty says. Yes, we're going to beat them. And it's people like you and I, and my wonderful viewers, right, that are going to keep this stuff in the chats, keep sharing this kind of stuff, keep adding your comments saying, oh, we're not going to let this disappear. We're watching. And why are we watching? Because you woke half the world up with COVID. Thank you very much. Thank you, God. Thank you very much, right? You turned that disaster into a wonderful blessing where it awoken so many of us going, no more. No more.
It's amazing. I was sitting around there thinking about COVID. I've been retired from the federal government for, believe it or not, 3 years now. 3 years. But here's the takeaway. Now, you have to know that this whole thing was orchestrated in the sense that they told everybody to go home and work from home in the federal government. So the entire 80% of the federal government is working from home. But in the meantime, during that time, I was emergency essential. We didn't have the manpower to vet all these people that came into the United States. They didn't have those people, they weren't given those COVID shots. You and well, I never took the COVID shot. Anybody that was an American, they were trying to force you to take the COVID shot. They were, threatening your job. But the people that they brought into the United States, they didn't take the shot. Those Afghans that they brought here, they said that they vetted them. There's no possible way that we could have vetted 85,000 people. I was right there on the watch, and we didn't have the manpower to do it. But so many lies were told by the Biden administration. It's ridiculous.
Yes, yes, it is. And we keep finding out more and more things left and right. Speaking of this past administration, leads us up to our next topic. Well, we got to celebrate that, but we'll get to this here too. Let me get here. Oh, that's a good one to start with. Talking about learning more things about the wonderful administration here. Guys, look at this. Stephen Miller just dropped a bombshell on Hannity. I don't necessarily watch Hannity, so thank you, Charlie Kirk. Revealing the real number of missing kids. This is migrant children only, by the way, that Democrats trafficked into America is not 320, but 450. So let's see what he has to say about that.
Well, so here's another one for you, Sean. On top of all of that, we now believe the true number of missing children that Joe Biden trafficked into the country, the Democrats trafficked into the country, is 450,000, not 320, 450. The Democrats have committed crimes for which they can never be forgiven, Sean, and Donald Trump is cleaning it up. Donald Trump is cleaning it up right now.
Say it again.
I gotta do that. Sorry.
Damn.
That's right. And Donald Trump is cleaning it up. I mean, and you guys, that is just one of the things. There's so many things that are going on. I mean, that's just one. I wanted to bring that to your attention because I love to celebrate any time that they are finding the children from around the world, by the way. Not our children, not just our children, but the children that are coming through the borders, the children that are being trafficked. I mean, I've never seen President Trump, even before this term, he started so many, and we shared this too with you guys a few episodes back about all the things he did and put into place to really stop this nightmare. And who knows, that's just the number they have right now at 450. Next thing you know, a couple of months, they're going to be like, really, that number was 600,000. I mean, what else? Makes me so angry with that administration. Go ahead.
When you bring 20 million people into the United States, they're not all going to be adults. And a lot of those people had obligations to the drug cartels. And those people are trying to make money any way they can, and they don't care about human life. Now, the number that I had when I was at DHS was 300,000, but I have no compunction about believing it's higher. And at 450,000, I'm sure Mr. Miller has better stats than I've got, but I would guess that it's probably close to 500,000, maybe even more. But the issue today is we're just stabbing at this. And, this I belong to an organization called Untrafficked, and we try to combat child trafficking. And they're a wonderful organization, but the idea is child trafficking is slavery. And in truth, there's just as much slavery going on in the world as there was back when my ancestors were brought from Africa. And people don't seem to understand that. Slavery hasn't gone away. We just call it something different. Just like you mentioned earlier about the Democrats changing the names, it's still bad. They just change the name around and keep doing the same stuff. So the issue of the day is I'm so thankful that, with all his flaws, Mr. Trump is fighting a good fight. And that's something that has to be done. We got to protect these kids.
You're so right about that, because slavery has been around since almost the dawn of time, everyone. And it's just unbelievable. But that has got such a sick, name to it and title to it that they thought, oh, we're just going to call it trafficking, or then just human trafficking. Does that sound better? Well, no, not really. Sorry, human, children, whatever, trafficking. No, it's literally just moving them from one place to the other. I mean, that's it, right? No, it's not. And so, no, we need to put that back as human slavery, children slavery, sexual slavery. I mean, that needs to have that title back. And that, like you said, they just try to change the names, and it's unbelievable. We're not taking it. We know your evil ways, and it must stop. And thank heavens for this administration. I can't even imagine how he even gets anything done with all these different things that are going on. You know, thank heavens for some of the people that he does, appoint. Go ahead.
The man doesn't sleep. I guess he lives on Diet Cokes, but he doesn't sleep. And I'm thankful for that. He's the guy we need right now. I mean, remember, all this stuff was going on during the Biden administration. All this stuff was going on during the Obama administration. They did nothing about child trafficking. Matter of fact, they were probably encouraging it. That's another story for another time.
Oh, well, I'm glad you brought him up, because I have a question. Since we're speaking Obama, everybody has seen, oh man, the greatness that Tulsi Gabbard has been pulling out. We're not necessarily going to show this here, but the next concerning thing that I always worry about, and I got 2 posts I want to show you guys, because, speaking of Obama, we know the things that he's been doing, right? And want to see justice. I mean, I want to see justice brought to the leaders, to the ones who started this stuff, not the assistants. I mean, those guys too. But if we don't take down the major conspirators of this problem, will it ever go away? Well, this is one thing that's concerning me, and I'll share another post with you guys. All right, so President Trump talks about President Obama. Let's see what he has to say.
You on presidential immunity would apply to former President Barack Obama and what you're accusing him of doing.
It probably helps him a lot. Probably helps him a lot, the immunity ruling. But it doesn't help the people around him at all. But it probably helps him a lot. He's done criminal acts. There's no question about it. But he has immunity, and it probably helps him a lot.
So that's one thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about. And he says Obama owes it big, but he talks about presidential immunity, and all of us want to see this, happen, right? And that's what kind of concerning me. And is there a presidential immunity? And I'll let you answer this after this one I add here right here. So the next one is Obama's presidential immunity claim shouldn't stop them from going after him. They chased Trump like a relentless hound on the state and federal level. Now it's time to crush this loser, Terrence Woods. Drag this sorry traitor into court, drain his bank account with millions in lawyer fees, and make him squirm for despicable treason. Make this betrayer regret destroying and selling out America. And that is what I wanted to show you guys, because I was a little alarmed with the fact that, is he going to have immunity? This man has done so much to make this country, in so many ways, just absolutely despicable for this situation. So what do you have to say about that?
Unfortunately, presidential immunity has already been established. However, there are others. I really believe this thing was started by Hillary Clinton, and she has never been president, and she has no immunity. I'd be very, very happy to see her brought to heel, because she and her cronies are the architects of some of the bad things that have happened to this country and across the world. Remember, like for instance, Gaddafi, he's got his negative things about him, but he was killed when he was trying to start an African Union on a gold-based currency. And Hillary Clinton had a whole lot to do with that. And some American military personnel died because of her bad actions and her bad decisions. So I would be very, very happy to see her go to jail. James Comey, same thing. He wasn't president of the United States. And Clapper and the rest of them that were all at the senior levels, they had, it was their orchestration of all of this that made it all happen. And yeah, Obama was president. I would love to see him, dealt with in some way that would show that he is just a terrible person. But it would be a lot easier and probably a lot more successful to put the Clintons in jail. Well, Bill Clinton was a president as well, but Hillary Clinton is caught red-handed as far as I'm concerned, because this was her plan.
Right. And I understand that. But, hopefully President Trump has changed his heart from the last time he went. And he's been noted to say, well, I didn't really go after her because she is a former first lady, right? And he gave her some pity and some mercy, I guess. But those days, right, are over. And I'm not sure if she's got some kind of, I don't know what the standing is on a first lady, if they got immunity as well.
I don't think any first lady has any immunity. How about this? This time last year, weren't we hearing about 34 felonies? And they were coming after Trump, and they almost got him. And then they shot him as well, you know. But here's the thing is these people threw everything but the kitchen sink at him. And I don't blame him for being, I'm not going to say the word vindictive, but it would do us all good to put all those people in place and put them where they belong. Maybe they can go to Alligator Alcatraz. What do you think?
Right?
I'd
I
love
agree. I'd like to see, and I think that's the point of all of these kind of things that we're going to be showing here tonight. Whatever. I have a problem when the big fish guys don't go down, because I'm always afraid. Well, can't they just hire other people? Can't they infiltrate other people? Can't they whatever and continue to have their plans? I mean, if you can go after President Trump for all of these different counts, didn't he have presidential immunity? But yet they went after him anyway, right? They arrested him anyway. So wouldn't that be the same for any of the other leaders? Yeah, I'm all for it. I'd love to see Hillary accountable for those kind of things, and other people too. But even if he had immunity, wouldn't you just love to see these people arrested? Let you fight that out in court, Let them decide.
And if I may, in Trump's case, a lot of these people, the Comeys of the world that were prosecuting him, they knew that they would lose in court. But the point is, let's keep them busy. Let's keep him off his game so he'll be busy fighting us when we'll, it's like, the whole, bait and switch, playing the 3-card Monte. That's what they were doing. They knew they were going to lose, but they did it anyway. And so now he's got the entire Justice Department and the entire federal government on his side, and including military tribunals. Let's get this done. I hope that he doesn't get distracted with all this Epstein stuff. Yeah, that's not my. I'd love to see stuff come to close. I'd love to see that, that client list, but we got bigger fish to fry. These people basically, hey, let's go back to Obama in 2008 when they basically ruined the economy. Okay. People lost businesses back in those days, lost houses, lost livelihoods, and none of those Goldman Sachs people went to jail. And that was the beginning, really, of BlackRock. And so these people need to be put in their place. So I'm just hoping that Trump can get all this stuff done and get it done before the primaries, because that's going to be a big deal. Don't think Democrats have gone away. Oh, no. They're sitting and waiting and then plotting and planning, just as evil as they always were. So we got to be smart about this.
That's right. Well, I have to bring this somewhat up because it isn't current news, and he's never going to escape it. I mean, everywhere he goes, I think he was just in Scotland. He was still asked about this, because they're haunting him, and they're really trying to find out more and more about that. I have said this a million times, guys. For me, it is so not about Epstein, but again, who are the big fish? Who are the big fish? And this might be an answer to this. I don't know, but what it makes me nervous about this, right, is there was a meeting between Trump's DOJ and Ghislaine Maxwell. She reportedly, though, is asking for a pardon. So what do you guys think? Put your comments.
Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche's meeting with convicted sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell has ended. This as critics are calling for more transparency in the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. Welcome back as we head into hour 2 of America Reports. I'm Sandra Smith in New York, and Bill, great to have you here today.
Great to be with you as well, Sandra. I'm Bill Malugin in Los Angeles. John Roberts has the day off. That meeting Sandra just mentioned just wrapped up moments ago. Maxwell was escorted back to the prison from the courthouse in Tallahassee. Her attorney said they had a, quote, productive meeting with Blanche, but details of their talks still remain under wraps right now.
All right, Fox Team coverage is at the ready. Chief legal correspondent Shannon Bream is live here in New York City, standing by with analysis. But first, let's get to our justice correspondent, David Spunt. He's got the latest from Washington for us. So, David, what else did Maxwell's attorney say?
Well, he said a lot. We wish we could be in and hear what was said in the actual meeting. This meeting was a lot shorter than it was yesterday, but this was a 2-day event. The highlight, though, it appears that her team wants a pardon. Watch.
We're going to take one day at a time. I know that's very cliche, but it's true because things are happening so quickly. We haven't spoken to the president or anybody about a pardon just yet. And listen, the president this morning said he had the power to do so. We hope he exercises that power in the right and just way.
So I heard that she gave over like 100 names, guys, and yeah, that could be great if they go after him and they hold him accountable. But I mean, she is, you know, she's not this awesome, you know, whatever person. Hey, she gave some names. She really wasn't involved. I mean, I hear reports that she was even worse and was definitely involved in all these kind of things. So I don't know what you think. Do you guys in the chats, and Berney, you can tell me, do you think she deserves a presidential pardon?
Oof. Big decisions. I'm not Solomon. I'll tell you the truth. I hope the Trump is, because to tell you the truth, this is getting really, really, really deep. But the thing is, if we, you know, if he doesn't work with her, these demons will get away. They need to be stopped in their tracks. And sometimes you got to make a deal with the devil. And in order to get some good, I know that doesn't sound like a perfect solution. I hope he doesn't partner, but if it gets somebody like these people in the royal family that have been abusing children for a long time, you know, these people are known pedophiles. They are. And they need to be jailed, and it'd be better if they're off the street. And if we have the power to do that, well, sometimes you have to you have to do a trade-off. So I don't know. I'm not president. And I can't tell you what I would do in that situation because I can't see all the information that there is. But I just want the guilty to go to jail.
Right. Well, this is why we don't always have to agree on this. I absolutely do not want to see this. But you could take some time on her sentence. You could do whatever. I mean, she's already in the lap of luxury prison in Florida. You know, sorry that you got taken away, but hey, don't do the crime. And thank you so much for the names, you know. But oh my heavens, if you're going to pardon this, what is going to stop her from continuing to do something like this? And yes, do I want to see the clients go down? Absolutely. And I'm hoping that he has the foresight, because I think that would be a wrong mistake. That's my choice, my opinion, everyone. But it would absolutely just enrage me to see somebody that orchestrated a worldwide child smuggling, trafficking, rape culture just literally walk out of prison, even if she gave some names. They already have the names. They have tons of videos. Don't tell me that they don't, you know, right? That's my opinion, everyone out there. But that would personally enrage me. I don't know. I'm going to check the chats and see if you guys agree with me or if you agree with Berney.
Well.
Oh, wow. They agree with Berney. I love that.
Oh.
All right, let's put that up.
Well,
Okay.
bottom line, you know, keep on going. I just, you know, it's like, you know, like I said, that old story about Solomon and, you know, splitting the baby. You know, you got to be wise here. And yeah, I'm somewhat vindictive. I'm kind of old school, you know, Old Testament kind of guy. But in order to get the big fish, you might have to give up a few worms.
I guess so.
And here's another concept. Think about it. If she's released, our government is going to have to protect her the rest of her life, because the kind of people that she was dealing with they're not nice people. They're murderers. They are child traffickers. They're the worst kind of human beings, and they would have no compunction about offing her in a hurry.
Right? And I'm smiling about that. Sorry, guys, you do not want to hear my opinion on that, nor do I think, you know, yeah, we'd have to protect her, but oh, sorry. Shucks darn. You know? That's kind of how I feel, everyone. Sorry, but that's my honest opinion, because you guys all know me. Wood chippers and millstones for the child traffickers. If you're going to harm those babies, that's kind of how
I agree. There's a special place in hell for child traffickers.
Right? Okay, so let's see. Thank you, Frosty. Obviously, but you know, I understand you gotta get the bigger names. Let's just hope that, you know, Pam Bondi actually does something with it, because if they've got 100 names, I hope it just doesn't go to her desk and die and disappear. Let's hope that she works on serious cases and bring some of these clients to justice, because I will agree with you on this. You know, when you have any business, doesn't matter what it is. If you don't have clients, the business goes down. And this is a worldwide horrid, you know, situation.
Yeah.
Absolutely evil. So yes, if you could take down some of these clients, maybe that would be a ripple effect, and it would actually stop others from thinking about this. I don't think that you're ever going to get rid of this completely, unfortunately. But you know, it sure would be a really big thing if you started taking down some of these top dogs.
I'd like to see it.
Yes. All right. It's too bad. I'm glad Thank you, Nancy. Too bad, too sad. I'm sorry. Isn't that horrible that I feel that way? But that's how I feel, guys. All right, let's talk about something fun before we break into. Do you want me to play that whole clip that you shared with me on YouTube?
You
Because
do whatever you want to. I'll respond.
okay. Well, I saw this, and I can play the clip that you sent me on YouTube here. But Jay Leno criticizes modern late night comedy for alienating half of its audience with partisan politics. And I can play that for everybody. Let me just remove this and stop sharing. So you sent me a YouTube, or it's going to take a little break to talk about something different, then we'll go back to some other things. But this is Jay Leno torches Stephen Colbert for destroying late night shows. Here we go.
Was the #1 show in late night for the better part of 3 decades. If you're an aspiring comedian, if you're an aspiring late night host, don't listen to the overly emotional Jim Kimmel. Don't listen to Stevie Colbert. Hell, he no longer has a job. Listen to the king. Listen to the dude with longevity. Listen to your elders. Listening to your elders is good advice for life in general. And it's something that most men struggle with, especially when we are younger. When I was growing up, I used to think my dad was out of his mind. Not only did he work a regular job, he also owned and operated his own business. He worked for the government, and for his own business, he repaired and installed irrigation systems. My prepubescent mind, which was not inspired by the inspiration of modern prepubescent boys Meg Rapinoe, my prepubescent mind could not understand it. Why would you want to work 2 jobs? And why would you start a business that requires you to work in the heat? Not only that, you got to use a shovel.
Hey everyone, we're having our biggest sale ever on our award.
Sorry guys. Let's skip this. Continue here.
My dad loves a shovel. Several years ago, I bought him a shovel for Father's Day as kind of a gag gift. You would have thought that damn shovel was made of gold. He loved it. If someone bought me a shovel, I would have to hire someone to use it. My dad loved that damn shovel. He still uses it to this day. But it's going to be a problem. But that was not the explanation that he gave me that day. Instead of providing an extra the doors.
So does he get into Jay Leno?
My income being tied to the kind of daily viewers that I've built over the years that gives me a minimum of 1 million views every month.
Okay.
Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter. Subscribe to the second
and see if he
half the audience. Credit to Jay Leno for even having the courage to point this out. Since CBS announced that they were firing Captain Doofus, damn near every failure in late night has made excuses for him. In their defense of Stephen Colbert, they've perfectly illustrated one of the main problems in late night television. Every host is the same. Throughout the week this week, it has been hand-holding and masculine ass-grabbing. Jim Kimmel is blaming the Trumper. Jon Stewart is floating ridiculous conspiracy theories. John Oliver, Jim Fallon, Sean Squires, they were in the studio audience to support Stevie Colbert. My inside sources, they're telling me that 10 minutes into his opening monologue, all 3 were passed out. Sean Squires was resting his head on the shoulders of John Oliver, while Jim Fallon, he was stroking his hair. Outside of Greg Gutfeld, the only late night host that's been missing from this celebration of Wiener, Bill Maher.
I like Bill Maher to some extent. You know, he's really interesting because he's kind of flipping back and forth, but yet he's kind of waking up to some realities of things. But, you know, Jay Leno really did hit the thing, and I miss the days of things like Johnny Carson. And I know that you, who was at Try, I absolutely agree. I miss the time where you could actually just watch the show without it being so filled with indoctrination or political, So go ahead and take it away.
Well, if you don't remember, those of you who are too young, but I remember Johnny Carson being the guy, and for 30 years. And then before that, after that, there was Jay Leno. But the idea is that they didn't get into politics. The whole deal is, after you worked all day, taking care of your kids, done the things that you needed to do, you needed to relax a little bit. And Johnny Carson, Jay Leno, David Letterman, they provided jokes. They made people laugh. They lightened the load. What these characters do, this new generation, Colbert and his crew, they're just political hacks, and they're not funny at all. Even Jon Stewart, I mean, I used to watch him when he was on the Daily Show, when he and Colbert were together, and they were somewhat funny, but it was a different time. But Colbert's taking it to the next level. He might as well be Rachel Maddow. He's just terrible. And what's worse is he's lost, as I remember, somewhere around $40 million a year. I mean, his salary is roughly 20, and then he's got like 100 people working for him. So he's losing money for CBS, and that's what the bottom line is. Has nothing to do with Trump. Trump's laughing. I'm laughing. I'm laughing that he's leaving. But the concept is he's losing money for Trump. He's losing money for CBS. He's losing money for his parent company, Paramount, and I won't be happy until I see him leave. So good riddance to bad rubbish.
That's right. All right. If you guys want to put it in the comments, and I put the clip of that on YouTube, because you're like, now we don't hear the rest of the shovel story. If you guys want me to play that towards the end, we will rewatch that clip. You guys can hear the end of the shovel story. My bad. I just wanted to get to the part where he's talking about Jay Leno, which is the point of this. And it's amazing to see the other late night hosts literally joining in like lockstep to come and support this guy. And it's like, this is only happening because of Trump. And no, it's not. You lost millions and millions and millions. Was it $40 million a year? Yeah. And he still gets to keep his job for this year. I don't know if he's got a contract, most likely, and they would lose their butts if they let him go earlier than that. But you're costing, you're bleeding, you're hemorrhaging, man. It's time for you to go. And you know what? Maybe this is a wake up call, like you said, to the others. How about just keeping it fun? I used to even watch David Letterman, and I watched Jay Leno for a little while, but I definitely grew up listening to Johnny Carson, and it was a show, right? And it was so much fun to sit there and see all these different people as they brought their talents and they talked about their show. Well, nobody wants to see a lot of these movies anyways, right? But it's just ridiculous. I mean, and what's the guy that does the late night show now? I can't remember his name right now. Not Jimmy.
Alan Kimmel.
You guys put it in the chat, but I cannot watch him ever. He's like such like a 3-year-old. You're like, oh my gosh, and he's just crazy. I don't know. It's just it turned into more of a circus, and and it became very, very political. And
if I may, the business model has changed. So think about this. Everybody has their phone now. People are watching YouTube just like here. You're going to put this thing on YouTube or Rumble or whatever, and I will guarantee you that there'll be a gang of people that are going to watch this when they go to bed. And the dominance of the late night format that Colbert uses just is no longer valid. So that's the real deal. Nobody's watching these guys anymore. And go woke, go broke. Thanks.
I love that. And you're right about this one here too. I mean, he was a legend, and there's a reason for that, right? I mean, I agree with you. Late night is garbage now. I mean, I don't know, guys. We just sit through our wonderful podcasts and stuff now, but the whole go broke, and they're seeing it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have got a frog in my throat tonight. Let me get some water here.
They've got competition now, and the idea of just dominating the airways with liberal DNC talking points just won't fly anymore. Just won't work. People are tired of that.
You're right. Oh my goodness, you guys. And drink some water for me. I haven't, but right. Did he really? I didn't see that. So Jon Stewart went psycho on his show about it. Doesn't surprise me.
He was very upset, but the bottom line is he didn't say anything that was of any relevance. He even had a gospel choir back there. He was very angry with Trump, but he's trying to blame the whole thing on Trump. This ain't about Trump. This is about profitability and loss. And CBS is losing money by the bucket. And Colbert isn't funny anymore.
Right. Well, you know, and another thing too, if Trump keeps suing these people for defamation, they're going broke that way anyway. They can't afford to pay all these kind of millions and millions. I heard some great news about The View too. They're like, this will be our last show for a while, and I don't know what's going on there. If it's a hey, I don't watch it. Obviously, somebody got the message. I'm like, woohoo! See you later, The View.
Yeah.
Right? How crazy! And I remember when that first came out. Not that I really watched it per se then either, but it was more of of a show where they talked decently about different current events. I mean, it was like with Barbara Walters, isn't the one who started it?
There to keep those witches in check. It was a wonderful show. But when she passed away and Whoopi Goldberg took over as lead, it just went totally left.
Right. Right. And whatever they call conservative over there, yeah, no. Not
She's
even
not
close.
right.
I don't know if they have a single conservative or conservative voice on that entire panel.
She's a fake.
Right. They had the John McCain's daughter or whatever. Not even.
Chased her off.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't watch that show. I like I said, I can't even hardly name the people in that show. I've been busy raising kids and running businesses, guys. So
Most people are too busy to watch that stuff. So
right.
I'm glad to see them leaving.
I am too. Yep. Adios. Absolutely amazing. All right. So I don't know what else you want to bring about tonight. Is there any other stories that you want to bring to my attention?
No, I'm good. I mean, you give me a chance to rant, so I'm just gonna, I'll, when you're tired of me, I'll just sign off and keep listening to you. But
Cool. So I've got a few things here about parents, real parenting. We've talked about this before, and I've got a lot of different clips I want to come on here and share. But I'd like to get your opinion on this one for sure. And I'll explain afterwards here what you guys might think. So it says this is what real parenting looks like. So I want your opinions on the chat if you agree with this or if you don't, and we'll get Berney's opinion on this.
This lovely lady is my 10-year-old daughter, who has, for the second time this school year, been kicked off the school bus due to bullying another student. Let me make this extremely clear. Bullying is unacceptable, especially in my household. Friday, when my daughter brought home her paperwork for her bus suspension, she said, "Daddy, you're going to have to take me to school next week." As you see this morning, she is learning otherwise. A lot of children today feel that the things their parents do for them is a right and not a privilege. So today, my beautiful daughter is going to walk 5 miles to school in 36-degree weather. I know a lot of you parents are not going to agree with this, but that is all right, because I'm doing what I feel is right to teach my daughter a lesson and to stop her from bullying.
So we're just going to put this up here too. I have not noticed this either, but he said, notice that a lot of shows are going bye-bye since they cut off USAID. Interesting. That's an interesting point. I never put the two together.
We were paying for all that crap.
That's right. Well, it's the same thing with PBS and NPR and all this kind of stuff. Defund them, and all of a sudden the shows go away. All right. Yeah. So do we think this is brutal, everyone? What's your opinions on this? What this parent making their child walk to school?
Well, if you're asking me, if my mother always told me, never start a fight. However, never lose one either. And so if she had found out that I was bullying somebody, I would rather walk 5 miles any day than what she would have done to me. And after she beat my rear end, then she would have told my dad, and I would have gotten it even worse. So that's 5 miles seems a lot, but I've done it many a time, and she will never bully anybody again. I guarantee that.
Right? I was sitting here grabbing your comments because I want to share them here. And then I'm going to tell you, how horrible of a mom I might be. So as I'm grabbing your comments here, everybody, that's funny, Frosty. I know you live in Maine. I remember you were drawing flowers just because it was still snowing in almost summertime. He's a painter. We love him. So my daughters, so my kids always got into, and we've come up with some creative consequences for my children. I'll tell you the first one. My kids always would get on each other's nerves, and it was always on a bus. And my daughter, I mean, we always, when you see the bus pulled over and you're like, they got your kids in there, you're like, oh no. And one time my daughter had literally stabbed my son with pencils, right? And they're like, okay, we're done with the kids being rowdy. And this was in northern Arizona. And so my husband's like, what are we going to do with this, guys? Just get them to stop fighting. So one of the things he came up with is that they had to hug each other until they could honestly say that they loved each other. And these kids screamed for over an hour. My parents were there just totally dying as they were hugging each other, barely holding on to each other. Stop screaming in my ear. Stop screaming in my ear. That's all they had to do was to calm down, say, you know what, I'm sorry, and I love you. And they couldn't do it. It took them over an hour. Now, when we moved down south, my daughter, my youngest daughter, decided the same kind of crap. She was going to try to bully other people. And we got sick of that, and she got kicked off the bus. Now, we didn't live like, maybe it was almost 5 miles, maybe not so much, maybe it was like 3. But my husband got in that car and he says, guess what? You are walking to school. Did he make her do it every day? No, but he made her do it for the day. Walk to school and walk back to the school, because he goes, you're just going to assume I'm going to just take you because you made a bad choice. No, you're going to learn what it means to respect the bus, and you're going to walk to school. And this is in southern Arizona. Thank heavens they got to school really early. You know, because it wasn't like, you know, and it was also in the winter, so guys know it was no 115 degrees, right? It was more like 75, you know, ish kind of thing. But yeah, and so when I saw this, I was like, you know, I'm glad people are agreeing with me. You know? Right? I love that. You guys are wonderful with your comments, right? The punishment is a house run by a father. You loved it. The child had a course correction. That's right, and she won't forget it. My daughter did not forget it. And I guarantee you I never had another single problem with the bus ever again.
There you go.
So,
punishment for crime. And he didn't put a hand on her, you know?
Nope. Right? In the day and age, guys, when you cannot even basically give your children consequences, you know, you can't touch them, you can't spank them, you know, same thing, you can't spank them, you can't touch them, right? You have to be really, really creative. So, you know, especially when you have children that were adopted, you know, from foster care. So they already come with a number of problems. So making them hug each other, that's a great one. Making them walk to appreciate and respect their, you know, the luxury of having a ride to the bus, because I've been in other countries where buses don't even exist.
Oh, yeah.
And these people are lucky to walk themselves to school for an education. So that is one of them. Go ahead.
I was just saying, I totally agree. School is a privilege. Even as messed up as our schools are now with those crazy NEA people, it's still a privilege.
That's right. Imagine if that was Big Pharma advertising, right? Oh, okay. And I like this one too. That's right. Dads matter. I agree. Speaking of good news, let's share another one with you and think what you guys think of this one. So let me read it out to you. All right, John Mason. I stood before the parents of our youth ministry and explained why none of the girls attending camp are wearing bikinis and none of the boys are going shirtless, all without mentioning the word modesty at all. First, I contrasted the Bible worldview that we have a secular feminist worldview of our culture. I said that most Christians have just adopted secular worldview standards of American culture about sensuality and think nothing of it. Well, we're not doing it in our youth ministry. We are prioritizing being set apart for Christ in God's kingdom for his glory. The theme for our summer camp is shift, shifting from secular worldview about their identity as a man or a woman to a biblical worldview of being made in God's image. I told them we're not going to pretend that bikinis aren't that equivalent of underwear and that pornography is not a problem in our society. So we aren't going to help lead these teens into lust when they're supposed to be developing a biblical worldview. So we presented a dress code that keeps everyone, adults and teens, comfortable and covered. We even offered to help pay for the swimwear. The girls are wearing a one-piece with swim shorts, and the boys are wearing a swim shirt with their trunks. All shorts are 6 to 9 inches from the seam. I then close by quoting First Peter's, right, by saying that God has chosen us to be a holy nation, a royal priesthood that abstains from fleshly lust that wages war against the soul. I get through this talk in about 10 minutes and ask if there's any questions at the end. There isn't even one. I instead have parents thanking me for setting this biblical Christ honoring standards and using scriptures for the basis of it. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm all for it.
Isn't that beautiful?
Cover it all up.
I mean, I love that in a world where these people are literally just almost having sex on the stage. And I just saw somebody sharing the things with like J-Lo lately. I'm tired of, I mean, I don't even watch award shows after, like, you know, people like Michael Jackson died and stopped coming on the show and things like that. They just turned into absolute pornography where they're either worshiping Satan or they're basically having sex on the stage. You know, my husband shared something about J-Lo too, where like her skirt blew off and the skirt was like almost to her knees, right? I'm like, but didn't they just share one where she's basically in a G-string outfit having, like, you know, basically sex with her singers? So when you have ministers and fathers that are coming up with this kind of view saying, we're not even going to promote this anymore, we're going to actually teach our children about modesty, I say hallelujah.
Hallelujah and amen.
Right? Isn't that beautiful? I like to share some good stories with you guys too. Nice, nice. Thank you guys for agreeing with that as well. All right. Here is, we're going to take a little break. Guys, everybody, and we're going to finish up some of these other things here in just a minute. Oh, no, I want to talk about, well, we can show that here in a minute. I hate to keep you. You know, thank you so much for being here, my friend. So, but you know what? We've got to fight for our children. This is a really good clip to watch about how some parents are, and we got to continue to fight the system. You know, whether they are changing this kind of stuff, whether they're going to try to hide this kind of stuff, whether they're going to fight against this stuff, whether they're going to tell you that you need to have a gay man in your life because, hey, you need to have that kind of indoctrination. We have got to keep fighting for this, and one man is doing that. So let's show you what he's doing. And everybody pray for this man. How awesome. This story is absolutely disgusting. California is going to send this good father to prison for not transitioning his minor son into a girl. So let's check it out.
You're a boy, right?
No, I'm a girl.
Who told you you were a girl?
Mommy.
When did she tell you you were a girl?
Because I love girls.
Oh, I see. So mommy told you you were a girl?
Uh-huh.
The state of California says that I have to pay for the chemical and physical castration of my son as child support. I'm not going to pay that child support. I'm not going to pay anything to hurt my son.
And that means you'll be going to prison?
California is going to send me to prison for that.
So, Jeff, you are going through something. You've been going through something that is probably a father's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Tell me when this started.
Started when my son was about 2 years old. My ex-wife, who's a pediatrician in Capel, Texas, started thinking that he might be a girl and started trying to transition to a girl. And when I tried to put a stop to that, she filed for divorce and used her relationships with care providers to force me out of my house. And so I moved about a mile up the road from my sons. She filed for divorce formally, and I had 50-50 custody of him. And just after his third birthday, you know, I took the first iPhone video I'd ever taken, and it was him telling me that he thought he was a girl because his mommy tells him a girl. You can go on YouTube and just search for "Mommy Says I'm a Girl." You'll find that video. She was telling him things like, you know, she would put him into timeout and say, "Don't be a boy. The monsters only eat boys," and weird things like this. And she began to then socially transition him, and that led to a titanic battle in the state of Texas that culminated in me getting the procedures outlawed in Texas. And the political establishment in Texas allowing her to come to California so she could still castrate him even though I got it outlawed.
Isn't that unbelievable?
Take
That
all-
is so heartbreaking. I can't even, guys. And California is one of the most disgusting states and evilly ran I've ever seen. And they do this, right? They don't want the parents to have any kind of rights. I had a girl that's supposed to be on my show. She's probably going to be coming back later, which they literally did this with her son. And next thing you know, she was saying the same thing. She's like, what do you mean? He's seeing a school counselor and all this kind of stuff. And they were literally, he comes home and basically says, I want to change sexes. And she said, no, luckily he was a teenager. Well, not luckily, but he was a teenager at this time. But anyways, he ended up getting taken out of the house and ended up moving in with the school teacher that was actually the one pushing this kind of stuff. I mean, California is so messed up. That's somebody I'd like to see be held accountable. You know, Governor Newsom has done so much damage to that state and so much damage to everything from, you know, the illegals to the children to the whatever, the fires, the money. I mean, so much damage. And it's things like this. This guy doesn't even live in California. And here he is trying everything in his power to fight for his child, and he's going to prison for it.
I don't understand the mindset of these people that allow their taxpayer dollars to be used for such things. And this woman, remember, he said his wife was a pediatrician. What would make, I mean, what kind of crazy, bizarro thought process would make you think like that? I don't understand.
Years and years of indoctrination on the parents' part, because this doesn't happen just overnight. I mean, maybe we've seen a full-blown, you know, episode of this, guys, especially with the trans movement, right? But, you know, I just read something, I saw something in a thing that was talking about Rockefeller and the curriculum, and I could pull this up right now, but speaking of Ghislaine Maxwell, her father, so you guys know what McGraw-Hill stuff is, he owns that curriculum. And I saw that in a comment, I go, really? And this has been going on all the way through my lifetime. We were raised on those kind of things, right, with McGraw-Hill textbooks and so forth. And little by little, my point of that is little by little, they've been adding this stuff. And so, I mean, I grew up also thinking that being a mom was horrible with the whole feminist movement, right? So little by little, so who knows what that mom, and right, that, and then in the medical society where they're being taught that, hey, kids at 3 basically can tell you what they are, right? And thank heavens we're seeing this get shut down. We see more of these hospitals that are stopping, thank heavens again for President Trump and that administration for stopping these hospitals for even doing these brutal surgeries. So our medical field is even getting indoctrinated to think that this is normal. This is not normal.
We live in some odd times, very odd times.
And I want to find this because I can't even tell you how many hospitals, you guys probably can tell me, stopping gender surgeries. Let me pull that up. I know that there is a whole bunch of them.
It's crazy.
Right? So we got Phoenix Children's Hospital has stopped. Stanford Medical has stopped. Children's Hospital in Los Angeles has stopped. Let me show you guys this, give you guys some hope, because this is madness needs to stop. So here we go, guys. Oh, wait, wrong one. Wrong one. Hold on. I have a different thing. You guys got to see a song that I love. Okay, here we go. So right here. So, right, Phoenix Children's Hospital stopped the puberty blocker. Stanford Medical stopped sex change surgeries. Children's Hospital of Los Angeles is totally closing its kiddie care. Lurie Children's Hospital of Chicago stopped it. Yet Colorado is full steam ahead. Unbelievable. Here's another list. I missed one. Didn't one out of DC just stop that as well too? I thought so. We got Los Angeles, right, Lurie Hospital, but I thought there was another one too. Children's National Hospital stopped that as well. But this has got to stop, guys, because of parents like this. And hopefully, I don't even know what to say about this guy. How horrible is that kind of situation where you're going to go to prison? I would, by the way. I would have no problem going to prison to fight for my kids.
Of course. But the thing is that people in America have woken up. And when I say, I don't mean that in a negative way. People are now being a lot more cognizant of what's happening to our country and what's happening to the money that goes in our tax dollars, and people are becoming more traditional. The young people are becoming more traditional. And you know, that generation, let's see, millennials, they're kind of lost, but the generation is coming up under them, The ones
Oh my
below
God.
40, they are very conservative because they've been lied to, and we've been lied to as well. So, yeah, crime against humanity, grooming children is wrong. Turning somebody into against God's will is wrong. And even if you're an atheist, let the kid live. But little kids shouldn't even be talking about sexuality. I mean, I remember being a kid, 5, 6 years old and seeing some of Donna Summer on television, and I was embarrassed because it's just natural to be embarrassed. There's certain things that young kids shouldn't see and shouldn't be exposed to. We have to protect our children. We have
That's
to.
right. Oh, it's Generation Z. That's right.
Yeah,
I
those
don't.
young
I can't keep up with all these guys, but this is true because my husband even makes a notice about how they're even fighting against the chemical food. This Generation Z is more progressive, godless generation ever, but something's happening. They're turning back to God. They
Yeah.
are fighting this kind of stuff. You guys could check this out because they're fighting against all this kind of stuff. They're like, we're being lied to. We don't know what in the world's going on. And it's just, look at that.
Yeah.
Amazing how this stuff is happening, right? And more than just coming to God, but like you said, my husband sees this in the medical field where he's like, they are going naturopathic, they want chemically free food. I mean, thank heavens we got a generation of warriors coming up, which I'm really, really thrilled about.
Yeah.
Really thrilled about. That's right.
Speaking of
I
that,
agree.
somewhere like a lot of people like Hershey's chocolate. And I believe that the Maha administration, or better yet, Robert F. Kennedy, they are making them take all the chemicals out of their chocolate.
Oh, you don't know about this. Okay, I'm so glad you brought this up. I shared this and I have this on my bookmarks list, but I think we're going to show you because, they say that they are, but here is something interesting here, guys. All right, here we go. What makes me sad about that, I'm excited that they're taking this out, but Hershey is going to be raising prices now. They're going to be cutting the quantities of it and almost doubling the price of chocolate because they're going to be making real ingredients. So that's kind of sad to me to sit there and go, okay, awesome that you're doing this. So you guys have got it, and it's supposed to be hitting before this Halloween, everyone.
Yeah.
The chocolate producer is going to, having an issue on top of it, but because they're going to be using real ingredients. So we're already struggling out there, everyone. So I'm all for it. Don't get me wrong. I'm all for Make America Healthy. You guys, I'm alive because of that principle. But this is what really bothers me too, is we are already having a hard time going to the grocery store and affording that. We're having a hard time affording anything right now. And then they're going to sit there and say, well, now we're going to have to double that price and making us pay for that.
Yeah.
Making us, it's like we can't. I've always had a problem with this too, because you're like, when you go to the outside of the grocery store, right? The things that are supposed to be the most healthiest are the most expensive things in the world to eat. So what is a person to do?
Yeah. These big corporations need to be brought to heel. And trust me, Robert Kennedy is working to bring them to heel. It's going to take a little bit of time. And they're going to scream and they're going to raise prices. But if capitalism is true, like we said like we expected, eventually the prices will moderate. We just need to hang in there and just keep on rolling. And besides, as much as I love chocolate, I don't need any more. I've eaten enough.
Well, guess what, guys? I have taught you how to make chocolate several times on my Sunday cooking show. And so I'll have to find that and post that link in the comments below so you guys know how to make your own chocolate, because you guys know I don't eat anything chemical. It almost cost me my life. So I figured out how to make my own Reese's peanut butter cups. I learned how to make my own chocolate balls or bars, and so you guys, there is ways to do this without having to go and pay the money for this, or to have things that have only the dyes removed, but yet the other 40 chemicals are still there. Until this literally gets fixed all the way around, there are so many options. In fact, on my show last night, everyone, if you go to the comments on that show, episode 415, there's a link of over 12 different links of where to find my local honey, where to find my local flour, where to find my local fruits. That people already made these websites, and they are there for you to go check it out, everyone. And we will, I'll see if I can put those in the links the links in the comments of this show as well, so you guys can find those things. Great market for opening a new chocolate company. Oh, that is so right, Frosty. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'll figure it out. Lady H's chocolate or Frosty's Kisses. You go. I taught you how to make your own chocolate there, Frosty. That's in the chat. I like that idea. Hey, I would support that. You could be an affiliate of the show, right? You want to go into business, let me know. Let's put that up there.
Organic.
Guys, all right. Bring those businesses back to America. You know, I know Hershey's is too, but hey, I love that. Frosty's Kisses. That is a great idea, my friend.
I like
Great
it.
idea. That's right. All right, everyone. Please do me a favor and say good night to our wonderful guest. We're going to take a little bit of a break here before we have some interesting things that we are going to be showing you to close up tonight. But I'm going to play a song that I love and I grew up with. If you guys, let's see, let me find it. I love following Miles Commodore. He's awesome. But one of the songs one of the very first songs I remember really knowing how to sing is, of course, from Blondie. So you guys, we are excited to have Berney with us, and we're going to have him back. I would love to have him almost every Monday, but you know, he's got a life. I'll take him whenever I can get him.
You too.
Right? Oh, it's awesome. Awesome. Oh, let's grab these comments. I appreciate your guys' wonderful comments and compliments as well too. Don't we all love having Berney here? Let's grab that.
You guys are awesome.
Hey, while we're loading this up, why don't you tell everyone how to follow you?
Well, I'm on Facebook. Just type in Berney Flowers, Berney Flowers, just like I'm spelling it. I've got BerneyFlowers.com on my website. I've got, I'm on YouTube on the Loyal Opposition podcast. You can type that in. But if you just type me in just about anywhere, there you go. Just you'll find me. I'm on X and Truth Social, just about all the channels that most of us follow, especially the conservatives. And so I'm out there and fighting a good fight as best as I can, because bottom line is if we don't fight, we're going to be overcome. And I don't think I'd make a very good communist. So it's best for me to fight.
That's right. I am so honored to have you here with me. And like I said, you are welcome back anytime. It's so much fun to have you here. And we look forward to it. Just let me know when you want to come back on and discuss news. I am available any Monday night you have available.
All right. Well, next week I'm at the Howard County Fair here in Maryland. So, but the following week I'll be looking for you.
Okay. Look at that, guys. Coming back in a few weeks. So make sure you guys come back and check it out. In the meantime, go give him a follow on Truth and on X. And we're going to make him come to Truth more often, right?
All right.
All right. Have a good night, my friend. Thank you for joining us.
Take care now. I'll see you.
Bye-bye. I would love it. So like I said, we're going to take a little bit of a quick break here, a music break, everyone. And so like I said, one of the very first songs I remember learning like word for word, I would sing it all over the house, was the amazing Blondie. I absolutely loved her. This song is called Call Me. And here we go, everyone.